Jesus, the revolutionary, invites the question, what's a revolutionary? Well, a revolutionary is somebody with a cause. Somebody with a cause that they're prepared to live and die for. Somebody with a cause that may succeed and may make a better difference. Or if they fail, somebody who ends up dead. Well, Jesus ended up dead. Did he succeed? That's a fascinating question. But what was his cause? Well, his cause, plain enough, I think, the kingdom of God. He goes, the Gospels tell us, he comes from the wilderness, he goes into Galilee, preaching the good news about the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, loaded, heavily theological phrase, just means doing things God's way. So Jesus' cause is, isn't it time to do things God's way? Let's have a go at doing things God's way. That's what he was about. His revolution to do things God's way. But what things? Richard told us last week that one of the things that Jesus wasn't was a military, political, violent revolution. Anybody who says, love your enemies, bless those who persecute you, is not a violent, political, military revolutionary. He might have had the odd revolutionary amongst his disciples, Simon the Zealot, definitely. But Judas might have been one as well. We haven't a clue what Iscariot means. It might mean man from Kerioth, but we don't know where Kerioth was. Or it might mean man of the Sicarii. The Sicarii were the violent wing of the Zealots. Sicarius was a short-bladed dagger you had under your cloak. You milled about in a crowd, you took it out and you did what farmers do these days. You created havoc in a public place. Was Judas one of them? Possibly. But Jesus would have none of that. He was not in favour of any kind of violence. He didn't share the revolutionary programme of the main revolutionaries of his day. He wasn't going that way. Well, if he wasn't doing that, what was he doing? Karen told us about choices. And whatever the stories of the temptations are, they're about Jesus' choices. In the story, he discovers he's the Son of God. He discovers he's got God's power and blessing. So what's he going to do with the power? What's he going to do with the blessing? Well, he rules out violence. The devil says, worship me and I'll make it all good for you. That's an invitation to violence, power, the abuse of power. Jesus has nothing to do with that. But he also rules out one of the other big options. He rules out the economic one. He doesn't turn stones into bread. He won't engage in making the lot of the poor better. And the lot of the poor was pretty poor. There was an awful lot of poverty and all of that at Jesus' time. And Jesus seems to step back from it. Seems to. He's not going to turn stones into bread. He's not going to be any kind of economic saviour. But then we come to today's reading. We come to this incident in the temple. And that puts an element of confusion into what sort of a revolutionary Jesus was. Of course the temple stood for religion. Of course the temple stood for the traditional Jewish faith. But the temple stood for much more than that. In Judea, the temple was not only the holy place, it was also the seat of government and also the biggest economic factor in the province. It employed more people than anything else in Judea. It made the biggest contribution to the GDP of the province, although it kept most of it. After the Romans, it was the biggest place where they had to pay their taxes. So when Jesus does whatever he does in the temple, he's making a pretty wide-ranging challenge to everything that they seem to have stood for, to their politics, to their economics, and to their faith. It's a bit like a raving Methodist preacher from Littledale, and I choose Littledale because I'm aware none of our preachers from Littledale. A raving Methodist preacher from Littledale storming up the aisle in St Paul's Cathedral on a big state do, and knocking the bishop's mitre off and throwing the communion wine all over the place. And moaning about the Latin ditties sung by the choir, and especially having a go, of course, at the cathedral shop. And in some respects, that's not far off what Jesus was doing. He was a country boy from Galilee. Well, that gave him no credit at all in the temple. Country boy from Galilee picking up a fuss. But what's he picking up a fuss about? Seems to me that he's kicking up a fuss about something good that has gone profoundly wrong. Temple was good. It was a place where God could be addressed, where God had made himself known. It was a place that stood for a God of care and compassion, of generosity, a God who was a revolutionary God. Because after all, what was the start of the Israelite faith but Moses the revolutionary leading the people out of an oppressed empire in Egypt into freedom. That's what temple stood for. It should have been the guardian of those great old Israelite values of justice and peace and fairness and integrity. And it had become the opposite. Instead of saying that society exists to care for the least and the lowest, it began to say that society exists for those at the top. Instead of saying that power is to be used to help the weak, it began to say power is important in itself and of itself. Instead of saying wealth is to be distributed so that none go hungry, it became something that dragged in the wealth of the nation and made the poor poorer. So Jesus, when he's in his temple incident, in his protest, seems to me to be saying, it's time we got back to the old stuff of a generous God who requires all of us to live generously, compassionately, so that all can experience what it means to live and enjoy life as God intended. So his mission, let's do things God's way, seems to me to be about this getting back to generous compassion and away from all those things that we let get in the way of that kind of a thing. Well, that might be okay. I think that's accurate as a New Testament kind of picture. But the problem is, what do we do with it? How do we translate that sort of protest, that sort of revolution, that sort of commitment to and passion for generous compassion for all? How do we translate that to the modern day? And sometimes that's easy. And one of the things that impressed me as a newcomer coming here last year was the way in which this church, for example, deals with the refugee. That kind of a situation. That's not popular, but it's right. And this church and this town does it because of a commitment to Jesus' revolutionary program. That's good. Look at the other things that I've noticed for. Our continued commitment to things like Christian aid and that, I'm sure, is in the spirit of Jesus' revolution. But then it gets complicated. For me, so often the church still seems to get it wrong when it comes to generous compassion. I get really, really cheesed off every time Parliament discusses assisted dying. And I get cheesed off because for me, assisted dying is so obviously right. It is so obviously a matter of compassion and care and human dignity and freedom. I know there's got to be safeguards and all. But what happens when Parliament does it? The blooming bishops stand up in the House of Lords and say, the Church and God is against it. In whose name do the writers speak? It seems to me that if Jesus were here, he'd be joined up with Dignitas. But am I right? Because there are equally sincere and committed Christians who are passionately against assisted dying. So here we've a dilemma. All this gay, bi, trans stuff, as far as I can see, the demands of justice and fairness require total equality across the board. The Church should make no distinction between heterosexual people and all the other types. What does for one should do for all. Seems to me obvious. What does my church do about this? Dither. Dither. Dithered since 1980, you guys. But there are other equally sincere Christian people who think that actually they're very different than that Dawes bloke says. So how do we, faced with just two relatively small issues, how do we translate Jesus' revolution to those? Well, there's obviously one way that we don't. It just appalls me, for example, how in North America the religious right is so prominent and absolutely convinced that it knows exactly what God requires. So, one little guideline of mine is if the religious right is in favour of it, Jesus is probably against it. But that's just me. But that's the issue. How do we translate this? It's all right saying, in his day, Jesus was this revolutionary who supported generous compassion and particularly addressed that to those old categories of the poor, the widow, the orphan, and those who said things like, society is judged by the way it uses its wealth and uses its power in relation to these people. How do we translate that? That's the question. And no answer from the pulpit will do. You've got to work this out for yourself, as Karen said. These are the choices we face. These are the choices we've got to make. These are the decisions we've got to make as to where we are on all of these issues. Jesus, the revolutionary, just maybe, may God help us really to face up to these issues in his truly revolutionary spirit, to come to some conclusions and live them out, even if at times we have to agree to differ. It's a revolution of values that Jesus is about, a revolution of attitudes, a revolution of values. Doing it God's way should be different than doing it the way that powerful bodies, be they churches or governments, tend to do.